Happy Mother's Day! Hi, I'm Milan.
Hey, I'm Matthew. We were both given the opportunity to ask for a once-in-a-lifetime experience from a certain organization that rhymes with shake a fish. So for our wish, we asked to start our very own podcast. I'm just kidding. I went to Boston, New York to watch baseball.
I went to Paris and Euro Disney, but now we have a podcast too.
Welcome to the Wish Kids. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. We love you all. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all are having a wonderful day with your kids, with your families, with any friends, and all your moms. Hope you all are hanging out. It's a great day. It comes once a year. Doesn't come quite often enough, if you ask me. You know, if I made holidays, I would make Mother's Day every day.
I mean, it can be if you treat her special every day.
Yeah, but you got any special plans for Mother's Day this year, Mom?
I really take this time of the month, like Mother's Day, like very seriously.
Yeah.
And my mom's birthday is also like right around this time, so I really try to make sure we divide up like activities and different types of celebrations. So like for Mother's Day this year I decided let's do a theme. So we're doing all coffee gifts for Mother's Day, and then like
Nice.
so for birthday it can be all like one thing. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say because she's a big tea drinker, so obviously.
Oh yeah, so we're just going like totally opposite of
Yeah,
what she really likes.
that makes sense.
Yeah, but so like we're all doing different coffee related items, and then because I really wanted to make sure we divided up the activities evenly, I sent my dad and my brother a like 3-page email including like list of activities, things not to get, like how we should organize this, and then like separate things, because like one thing I really wanted to do was mimosas. I was like, so fun.
Nice.
For all of the people that can drink, because like
Yeah.
we're I can't
Mhm.
do that. But I just thought it would be super fun, and I like put in big bold letters on the bottom, like, do not buy flowers. My mom does not like flowers. She's like, why? They're just gonna die.
Oh,
It's like, don't do that. So I made sure to emphasize nobody buys or purchases or brings flowers near.
yeah. That's a full on itinerary. You're like a
Oh
you're like a
yeah.
dad on vacation.
Oh yes, for sure. I am literally the dad.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I have everything planned out. Like it is mapped out. Like 10 o'clock, this is what we're doing.
Wow.
3 o'clock, we need to go pick up the cake. Oh yeah, it's like
Yeah. You have on your cargo shorts and polo with your visor. Like you're like full on dad mode right now.
yes, yes.
That's insane. That's awesome though.
Yeah.
It's like mimosas is a great play on words too. I love
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Um, the flowers thing. I feel like flowers are quintessential mom gift.
I feel like for a lot of women, even men too, like it's a like kind of a staple of like showing affection. So I think it's really funny that like my mom's like, no. So we have
Yeah.
to get creative with different things, which is totally fine with me because I have all these ideas and I'm like, I will pull through for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. My grandparents recently discovered like online flower deliveries. Um,
Aw.
and so for like every holiday, they'll send my mom a huge bouquet of flowers. And I think my mom, actually, she told me a few nights ago. She's like, "Yeah, no, I had to text," or she calls them every week. She's like, "Yeah, like I told my mom, like, do not send me flowers for Mother's Day. You send these too often." Like,
Aw.
because we were getting them like once a month. It seemed like we got them for Valentine's Day. But I'm pretty sure they sent them for like New Year's Eve also, which like isn't a
They just were
flower
having fun
holiday.
with it.
Yeah, like, it's not a flower holiday whatsoever. But they sent them. They might have. I feel like we got them like last month. I mean, they might have sent them for St. Patrick's Day. Like,
Aw. Were they green?
no, they were like red and yellow. It was,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, my mom,
Wait.
not St. Patrick's Day related whatsoever. But they
Yeah,
just
I was
love
gonna
sending the
say, I
flowers.
was, I was trying to make a connection there. I was like, yellow, like gold,
No, can't make the connection.
red,
It just wasn't related. They just like sending the flowers.
which is fun.
Yeah. But yeah, my mom loves flowers. And she loves one of her favorite activities for Mother's Day actually is going to. There's usually a special exhibit around this time of year called Bouquets to Art. It's at the Legion of Honor in San Francisco.
Yes.
Great
I
museum.
I love that museum so much. There's actually, sorry, it's a really sorry story. There's a sculpture outside of it. It's like red. Do you know what I'm
The
talking about?
Not the big one in the parking lot.
Yes. That.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a weird looking. It's like one of those like compasses that you like rotate. It looks like that,
Yes.
but has a ball in the middle.
Yes. Yes. Okay. That I used to like when I would go to the hospital, we would go back home that way, like down the coast. And I used to climb that sculpture. And I'm not gonna lie, I still do. But there's no sign that doesn't say you can't touch it. But I'm just saying that like that's my favorite part about going to the museum is the fountain and the sculpture that you can climb.
Yeah, we're not endorsing or
No, definitely
but
don't go and do that.
yeah, don't climb on it. But yeah, it's a gorgeous museum. They have the thinker right out front too. There's a big brass dude with like a hand on his chin thinking. Um, thus the name. But yeah, so the bouquets to art is like this special exhibit they do for like a few weeks during the year where they bring in like flower arrangements and flower vases, and put them next to art pieces, and like they like specifically arrange them to like complement the art with like the colors and like the way they're displayed and dispersed, and the types of flowers, and it's really pretty. And so she loves going to that, and I've gone a few times. I haven't gone in recent years, like since I've actually started liking flowers. Like I didn't start liking flowers till like last year or the year before, but I love flowers now. Um, but yeah, she loved going to that, and she really enjoys going to museums for Mother's Day. Also, the D Young is the other museum in the city, another great museum. But yeah, she's a big that's a big Mother's Day activity for us on normal years.
I haven't heard of the flower thing, so now I'm very interested, and I know exactly what I'm doing when we are done recording.
Yeah, no, actually, I didn't go to the flower one, but I went to the De Young a few weeks ago with my mom. And it was really fun. They had a special Pablo Picasso exhibit, which was pretty cool. They also have a Frida Kahlo exhibit there right
Oh
now.
my gosh. I have a burned Frida like notebook and my name's etched into it. It's so pretty and I oh my gosh, I need to go. I need to go to museums.
Yeah, no, they have a huge exhibit for. We didn't see it because you need like a special ticket. I peeked around the corner of one of the walls because like there was like a rope there that you can't
Yeah.
cross. But I like peeked around, like it looked pretty. It looked really cool. People like it. But yeah, so you should definitely go check that out. It's right across from the Academy of Sciences, also,
Okay.
in Golden Gate Park. Just a beautiful little courtyard there. But yeah, it was a really fun day, and we actually it was an awesome day because we had after we went to the museum, like we both love museums. She loves them especially. But after we went to the museum, we went and got sushi.
Okay.
And neither of us had had sushi since before the pandemic started.
Did
So
she eat sushi?
sushi.
Or does she get like avocado rolls?
No, she gets fish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's a pescatarian. So she
Oh, okay. I thought she was a vegetarian. I'm
oh
sorry.
yeah, no, she's pesky. She's
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so neither of us had had sushi for well over a year. Like, I think it was like 13 or 14 months. For me, it was like 15 months since I
Yeah.
had and like, it was incredible. It was, it was so good. And just really like capped off a very, very fun day. So that was kind of like an early Mother's Day, I guess,
Yeah.
for us.
Pre-game. Pre-game.
Yeah, we were pre-gaming Mother's Day with some
Yeah.
sushi artwork.
You actually mentioned the Academy of Sciences, which reminded me of my class going on a field trip to Academy of Sciences. And it's like not really about the field trip there, but just field trips in general. I don't know how your school kind of did field trips, but mine, like, parents had to like volunteer
Mhm.
because we didn't do school. But like, actually, the first time I had ever gone on a school bus was like probably to a field trip my freshman year of high school.
Wow.
And I was like so scared because all of them, this is out of context, but all of the movies I had seen, like the bus is like not supposed to be super exciting. So I was super nervous on it. And I was just like, oh, but it's totally fine. Anyways, field trips. Um, my like the parents all had to like pitch in and drive, and everybody would fight to like get in my mom's car. Like people would like bargain to trade. Like you went in her car last time, so like you like we'll switch. And I just remember feeling like so cool because I already had a built-in seat with my mom,
Uh,
and everyone would like when they knew we'd have field trips. Maybe this was really bad for me and affected me now, but like there were definitely kids that would only hang out with me like a week prior to field trips just so then I'd be like, oh, like we're hanging out, like you can come in my car. Because my mom was the mom that would like stop and we'd get snacks and we'd do like Slurpees, and like that was a big thing. Like, oh my gosh, you guys went and got Slurpees? Like we didn't get to do that. So I just really appreciated my mom for always like being like the cool one.
that's awesome. Wow. Yeah. No, yeah, we did that same thing. Yeah, I didn't ride on a bus until it was in elementary school, but it was like during a summer, like a
Okay.
summer camp, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Right.
I was like, "What?" And yeah, I know buses are like so fun. Like,
Yeah, like it was totally not anything like I had interpreted.
no, yeah, not like the TV shows show you.
No.
Yeah.
That like, oh, you sit in a certain seat, you're getting beat up, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, hey, that's my seat. Like, no, there's no that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Um, but no, for field trips, my mom would always volunteer too. Both my parents actually. And yeah, they were the same way. Where like they would always let me choose who I wanted in my car. So I would like pick out like my best friends. I'd be like, oh, I want him and him and him and him. And then like they'd be like, oh, we only have 5 seats. I'm like, oh, we need to cut out someone. Like, I don't want to cut out anyone. It was always a big
Who's on
decision.
the chopping block?
Hmm. Or even worse for me was when like one of my friends' parents was also driving, so I couldn't have that friend in my car.
Okay.
I think one time actually like I somehow convinced my friend to come in my car even though his mom was driving a different car.
Okay. So you're a
Um
very convincing kid.
yeah. But yeah, my mom and dad would do the same thing too, where we would always do stops and we had a movie player in
Okay,
our
yeah,
car.
we did that too, and they attached the back of the seats. And we used
Ours
to
was
bring
like fold down from the roof.
oh, cool. We had like the ones that were like portable, so we bring them on the planes too.
Hmm,
And we have like the thing that like folds out so you could put all the DVDs you wanted, and I would fill it up with like movies that I was like, oh, everyone's gonna be super cool to see this.
uh-huh. Yeah, I was
I'm
the
so
same way. Go
sorry.
ahead.
I just wanted to go back to something. I'm surprised that like your elementary school like essentially let you pick out like who you wanted in your car, because I know for a lot like actually didn't get freedom of who we were getting in our car till probably middle school, um because they would like worry about people getting like hurt feelings or something, so it would be like assigned.
Oh, well, yeah, it was kind of the parents' choice to split it up, I think, but my mom was like, "Hey, who do you want?" And I was like, "Okay."
Okay,
Um,
so she was in there
yeah,
organizing.
yeah. But yeah, the movie player was a big selling point for my car. Kids loved it. We would always play pranks on them too. Like there was a little remote that could like you would hold in your hand. So I would sit in the way back because we had like 3 rows. I was in the way back, and we would convince someone in the second row that was touchscreen. So they would go and press it, and I'll be in the back, like moving the remote around to select like the thing.
Aw.
And we convinced, like, I was talking about this with a friend last week. We convinced at least 5 or 6 kids that it was touchscreen, and like they were like, "This is so cool." I was like, "Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it?"
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah. But yeah, the field trips were always very fun, and my mom would always volunteer for those. And always bring oh yeah, she always brought snacks for us. Like we would stop occasionally, but most of the time she would have like some Welch's gummies or some
Yeah, I was gonna say my mom would have like prepackaged snack bags for like all the kids in the car. Yeah. Oh, if I don't want to take away if you're still like telling your story or
no,
your
go ahead.
okay, because I'm kind of gonna transition into talking about snacks and food, because I used to have the biggest lunchbox, and that was filled to the room. I was such a fortunate kid to be able to come to school and people would like try and trade with me and I would just be like, no, like I'm sorry. Like my lunch was the envy of lunches.
Wow.
Yeah. And like it started like becoming like a thing, like people would know that like I had the big bag of goldfish and they would like come up to me and I'd be like, okay, I'll give you some goldfish,
You
maybe.
would hand them out like, "Oh, here you are." Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it would be an organized thing. I also always had water. I don't know, but like a lot of kids, at least in like 7th and 8th grade, a lot of kids would come up to me and ask to drink my water as if we didn't have water fountains.
Yeah, I always that's a weird thing that
Right?
they would just
It
ask
was
for water.
super weird.
I'm sure because 'cause you're no offense in this statement, but you're a germaphobe.
Right.
Um,
Oh, I had before I had this water bottle, I had the water bottle that like it clicked right here and it would like pop the tongue up
mhm.
thing or the straw. Kids used to like click it and it would offend me. I literally like had a fight with this kid. It was the same kid. Actually, I'm not even apologetic about this fight I started with this kid because that's a kid that I mentioned in one of my cancers, like the Cancer's Cool podcast, where he was like, "Oh, you're still fat," when I came back to school, and like I remember him and I will not forget it. And it stuck with me. And I really didn't like how he disrespected my water bottle and me. Okay,
Yeah.
the
Water bottle
tangent.
takes priority, though. That is you can mess with me all you want, but you step on my water bottle, that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, crossing the line there, buddy.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, that's I would always have a nice lunch too. My mom would wake up early, and make it for me until like well into high school. I think she made my lunch for the majority of high school too. Like super
Aw.
nice of her. Yeah, and kids at school would be like, oh, like yeah, I made my lunch today. I made my lunch today, and then someone else would be like, oh, my mom made mine, and everyone would like gang up on them like, oh, your mom made your lunch, and I'll just sit there quietly like, oh, like my mom
Like,
made
I'm
mine.
not saying anything.
Yeah. So I just be quiet, but like, yeah, it was super nice of her. Always delicious too. I think I talked about my wheat thins obsession for a while.
Yes.
Yeah, like every day for at least a month, I would have a baggie full of wheat thins. We would go through 4 or 5 boxes every 2 weeks. Like just wheat thins.
Whoa.
I was a wheat thins fanatic.
I
I
love
loved.
wheat thins too. They are so good.
Yeah.
And goldfish was my big thing. Like
Hmm.
we had the big milk carton goldfish thing. It was huge. Oh my gosh, I was obsessed. Actually, when I went to high school, it was like my first like 2 weeks, and I had this big like sandwich bag of goldfish because okay, I didn't eat it all in one sitting. I would eat it throughout the day. So like during my 10-minute break, and then during lunch, and then like I would get hungry in between like the passing period of like your last class before sixth period or like your last yeah,
Hmm.
and I'd like eat them before I went in the classroom. And this one girl was so mean to me. I think she was just jealous, but she like came up to me and started like, "You still eat goldfish?" Like, yes, they're good. Okay, why
That's
are
a
you so
weird thing
mad about
to
me eating goldfish?
I feel like there's no age for goldfish. For most foods, I feel like there's no age. Like it's one thing to like be like eating baby like food.
Yeah,
Like you still eat like that's okay, but like goldfish is something that's like
it's fantastic.
it's very reasonable to eat at any age. Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh.
There's not
My
many snacks that are age restricted, I feel like. Were you gonna say something else? You were going somewhere.
I was about to start talking about something we had that incorporated snacks, but you were still talking about age restricted snacks, and I don't want to cut you off.
Go for it, go for it.
We still have this. It's called the food wheel. So it has different pockets. It's like different sections, and you can put different types of snacks in there, and you can put dip in the middle. And it is my favorite thing that we own. And every time someone comes over, we put like veggie sticks, pretzels, like goldfish, of course, wheat thins. Oh, what's the other? It's
Triscuit?
not wheat thins, Triscuits. Yes,
Mhm.
Triscuits, Ritz, and like just a variety of vegetables, carrots, and stuff. And I just think about that so much that like this one girl, I had her over. in like second grade. She came over to my house and my mom had put the food wheel out for us. And it's so funny because she still talks about it to this day. Like she actually sent me a text the other day. It was like, do you remember this at your house? And I was like, I sent her a picture of it and I was like, this.
The food wheel is such a funny like that's the huge selling point of your house. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah.
Like everyone, let's go over to Milan's house. She's got the food wheel out.
Yes. It is like my favorite thing for sure.
That's
Yeah.
so funny. That's awesome. Well, speaking of food and back to moms, because we got a little off topic of that. One of my favorite recent mom moments, that's what I'm gonna call it, a mom moment,
Yeah.
was last 2 summers ago. My mom and I were in Atlanta, in South Carolina. We were visiting cousins of mine. And this one night we went to a Clemson Tigers. They were number one in the nation in football, so we went to a football game, which was awesome. And then we were like both very well, not she was hungry. I was starving after the game. Um, and so it's like by the time we get back to our hotel, it's like 12 or 12:30 at night, pitch black out, almost no one's on the freeways, and we see a Waffle House. And I had never been to a Waffle House. For those that don't know, like I wasn't really aware, Waffle House is like similar to IHOP, but they specialize in waffles, and they're like a southern staple. Like one of my favorite facts about Waffle House is there is a Waffle House disaster chart.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I was literally gonna bring that up for you more. I was like waiting for you to finish. I was like, gonna.
Yeah, so they determine the severity of a storm or a natural disaster like a tornado or hurricane based on how many Waffle Houses are closed because of it. Because the thing with Waffle House is they never close; they're open 24/7, and like they don't close.
Oh my gosh, you're making me want to go. I'm like, that is a goal of mine is to go to a Waffle House because
Yeah,
there's this there's so many like movies and shows that like kind of like that's the go-to spot is like the Waffle House. And now I'm just really thinking like I need to go to a Waffle House.
it's so funny for people who like aren't near Waffle House like us. Like it's so like glorified. Like Waffle House is this like huge like deal for people that live near Waffle House.
Oh,
They're bleh, Waffle House. Are you kidding? But like,
yeah. Yeah.
but yeah. So I had never been before. We went into a Waffle House at 12:30 at night. We were the only ones in there. We sat right at the counter. There were three employees. The entire time we're there, they're just talking trash about another employee who wasn't working. And it was one of the best waffles I've ever had in my life, probably. Like, and it
Aw.
was just so fun. We just sat there. We each got our own waffle. We just sat there eating at like 12:30 at night, talking about like the game. I saw a friend from like that lives there just by chance at the game, um, and like it was just a very very fun night, fun late night Waffle House adventure. It was really fun. So yeah, that's a fun mom
Mom
moment.
moment.
Yeah,
I have something similar. I mean, it's not like going to Waffle House late at night, but I do think we've mentioned, I did talk about this a little bit in one of our other food podcasts. But we used to go and get frozen yogurt after every hospital visit, and I think that's one of like my favorite things about my mom is that she has made probably everything that might be like hard to go through or painful into something fun or something that like is more memorable because it's like, oh, you're gonna go get treatment and then you're gonna feel sluggish when you go home. Okay, but like let's go get frozen yogurt and have fun and you can get whatever toppings you want, and that's just something I really like love about my mom. So
yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, no, my mom. I talked about it too before, but like she would do all she could to get me like the food I wanted. Like each morning during my like steroid stunts or like when I was getting chemo, she wouldn't. We would have no groceries in the house because I was the pickiest of eaters because of the steroids.
right,
Um,
and you never know what you're gonna crave that
Never
day.
know, and that's the thing. She was so adaptable and so just like on her feet and just like so willing to help and assist. She would ask me like in the morning, like, "What do you feel like having today?" And like I wouldn't know sometimes until like an hour before dinner, and I'd be like, "I want this," and she'd be like, okay. And she would immediately get in the car and go to the store and buy the groceries for that.
Right. And they'd have to be fast because like my mom did this too, and like they'd have to be fast before I changed my mind. Like it
Hmm.
was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just so thankful. Thank you, mom. Love you. Thanks for going to the grocery stores for me and putting up with my pickiness and my attitude. I had some steroid attitude going on. I know.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you for putting up with me and for showing me so much love. For that and for watching The Price is Right with me every morning because I've talked about that, but it still is just one of the funniest things looking back. Um, every morning in the hospital, we'd wake up and watch Price is Right, and we'd guess the prices and we'd play it together. And now still at home, like during almost the entirety of COVID,
Aw,
she'll watch Price is Right nearly every morning. Um, yeah, and
that's so
it's awesome.
cute.
Um, and I'll have class most mornings, so I won't be able to watch it. But there'll be times where I'll come out and I'll see her. She'll be watching the Showcase Showdown, and I'll sit. I'll be like, oh, that's 32,000. She'll be like, no, no, I'd say 31,000. And then we always keep track. And if one of us wins, she'll be like, oh, you would have won both. Good job. I'm like, oh, you win over. I'm like, yeah, I went over. You would have won though. She's like, yeah, I would have.
Aw. I
That's
think it's like so cool when you are able to bond with your parents like that
mhm.
because I actually um was very like I'm very lucky to have the parents that I do have. And I think like something I had never like really understood or knew until I really like went to high school and I've met other people that a lot of people don't really enjoy their parents. And that sometimes makes me so sad. Just like I realize just how lucky I am that I'm fortunate enough that my mom's like thinking about what I'm going to eat and she's showing up to every hospital visit with me. Like that is like I'm so lucky to have that and I'm grateful for it every day because I just think about like me being sick and how half of me getting over it was my support system and a lot of that support system did come with my mom because she was always showing up with me and just like you were talking about the Price is Right like my mom and I, when we would sit in the hospital, we'd watch Netflix and like at the time I was younger, so I was like 12, 11. So it was really hard to find shows that I was like allowed to watch or that were appropriate. And so we started with the Vampire Diaries. And I remember like we got through it and then they were still coming out with seasons. And so we had stopped and then we were like, okay, what do we watch now? And this, like, the reason I watched Gilmore Girls is because I found it with my mom. She was like, oh, like, let's just see if we like this. And then if we absolutely hate it, we can turn it off. I fell in love. And now it is like literally a piece of my entire personality.
Oh,
um, but it's just like moments like that that make me very happy because my mom and I would like watch that in the hospital together. And it's just, I'm very thankful for that.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I'm funny story about because you said your mom would visit with you every time. My mom would too. Like every hospital visit, she would come with me. Um, but she would do all she could to stay in the room with me for as long as she could. Um, but she hates needles. Like
Mm,
hates them. And so whenever I would get a lumbar puncture or even just like blood drawn or like my IV like poked,
yeah.
she would have to leave the room. Like, and lumbar punctures aren't short; they're like 30 or like 45 minutes. She would just like stand like right outside the room, just like waiting there until I was done.
Aw. That's like
Yeah.
that reminds me so much of like I used to get injections and I either had to self inject or someone else had to do it and I refused to do it because I was like, what if I mess it up? I don't want that responsibility. So my mom was at the hospital when they were like training me and like my guardian how to do it. And like my mom eyes closed, nervous, like I don't know, I don't want to like hurt my kid. And when we got home, I had to like actually get the injection, but the nurse wasn't there to do it. So my dad actually had to like step in because my mom was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. No, I can't do it. No, I can't do it. And I just think it's so cute that like our moms care so much about us that like they are so worried to like do that.
Hmm.
Um, but like I'm with you that like my mom was like always there. And it was so funny. She used to carry this big like binder of all of my medical records and would like pull like my mom kept track of like what I ate too so that we could see if like that was affecting like the meds and flare-ups and like when I'd have like worse moments. So she had like all these records and like the doctor would ask me a question I'd be like I don't remember. She's like, "Oh, it says right here on this day."
Yeah, my
And
mom
I
my
was
mom kept
like,
a journal. That reminded me. I forgot about that. My mom kept a journal. She would bring it in her bag every time we went to the hospital. She would write down exactly what the doctor said, all my numbers from the visit.
yes. Oh my gosh, all my vitals too.
Hmm.
Yes.
And anytime like something had happened while we were at home, she would write it down. And then the doctor would be like, "Anything going on?" And I'll be like, "Oh, like my foot was hurting." And he's like, "Oh, can you tell me more about that?" And I'd be like, And my mom would just open the book to the page. She'd be in the corner flipping through pages, like, and she'd be like, "Oh, here."
Yes. Oh my gosh. My mom did the same thing. She like kept track. Like, oh, you had a headache? Okay, and you took how many Tylenol for that?
Mhm.
Okay. Like everything.
Yeah.
Record. Yeah. I just
I
think
didn't because I didn't think to do that whatsoever. Like I would have never written that stuff down. I clearly barely ever remembered stuff when I went and visited, but she would
yeah,
just be
no,
there. You just hear pages like flipping like crazy. Like, oh, it's on yeah, that was 3 days ago. This happened at this time. Then at this time it got better. Then this time it got worse again. And it's like, oh,
right. And it was so detailed. And I was just like, wow.
mm-hmm.
Like amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing woman.
I
Yeah.
brought up your at home administration to my mom because I didn't have to do that. Which I guess is kind of lucky, like the administering drugs to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But I think either I brought up my mom or my mom brought it up to me because she listens to the podcast. She listens to every
Oh,
episode.
hi.
My mom and dad listen to every episode. And it's really funny because just at random times throughout the day, my mom will like say something relating to the episode she's watching, and I'll have no idea what she's talking about. Like she'll be like, "Oh, like, have you had any goldfish yet today?" I was like, "What?" And
Right.
she's like, "Goldfish." I'm like, "We don't have any goldfish." She's like, "No, no, Milan always talks about how she eats goldfish all the time." Like, oh, like
Like, yes, that.
that from 3 weeks ago when we recorded that. Yes, but it's
Yes.
really funny and really cute. So keep doing that, mom. Thank you for doing that. Um, but I think,
I think it's so cool that like both of our parents are actually super supportive. Like today, she was like, "What time's your podcast recording at? What time?" Like, okay, and then she kept track of it. It was like 12:45, and she was like, You have 15 minutes. You need to go. Like, you need to go get ready." And I was like, "Okay, like,
yeah.
okay." And I just think it's so cute that like our parents are so supportive of us.
Uh-huh. My dog's actually barking right now, and that's like the one thing. Like I'll text my parents. I used to just put a sticky on the door, but now I texted my mom because she was on a call. Yeah, so I texted her and I was like, "Hey, like I'm gonna start the podcast now. I'm gonna record for a little bit." She said, "Okay, I'll keep the dog quiet." Like my parents kind of have that role of like they're like, "Okay, we'll hold the fort down while you go do your business." Like, thank you. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah, because
Um,
my dog is an avid barker too. Like someone's walking by, package, anything she doesn't like outside, bark.
mhm.
And sometimes I'm so worried because it's just random. Like you can't anticipate that.
No, the
So
dogs. Dogs will be
I
dogs.
yeah.
But yeah, she back to the original story. She heard you talking about your like at home drug administration.
Mhm.
And so she brought that up. She was like, I hate needles. I was like, I know, mom. Like, I know. Like, you have to leave the room. She's like, oh, like, and she's like, I've been thinking a lot about this recently. Like, if we were in that situation, like, I don't know if I'd be able to give them to you. She's like, I probably could though. I probably could. I'd probably be able to suck it up and do it. And I was like, okay, mom. Like,
That's what my mom was like. She was like, I'll just do it. Like I'll learn how to do it. And I think it was really nice that my dad did step up and like we did have to end up like scheduling my injections like around my dad's schedule because my mom took time off work to come and like help me. So it was really nice that my dad was balancing that and stepped up and like his my grandma, so like his mom was a nurse, so he had some skills from that. Um,
Go
and
nurses. That's super cool.
it definitely wasn't fun at all
Mhm.
for like anybody because I definitely was like it's when we scheduled my injections, typically it would be when he'd get home from work. But when he would get home from work, I also wanted to go hang out with my friends, but I could only go hang out with my friends if I got my injection done first. And it was just like it totally wasn't fun because then I'd just be like low energy, not feeling great because I have methotrexate running through my veins.
Mhm.
And I was like, great. But I think it was like it's a funny story that I remember with my mom of just like her being like, no.
Yeah. No, yeah, my mom would not yeah, refused to be in the room with me when I got poked by needles. And then she'd always come back in, she'd be like, "Oh, how was it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's fine."
It's great.
Yeah. And she'd like sometimes like peek in like, "Are you guys done yet?" Like, "No." Like, "Okay, I'll be out here."
Aw,
Yeah, but it was really funny. Love my mom. Love you, mom. Um,
yeah.
Happy Mother's Day whenever you
Um,
listen to this.
Yeah, so there's actually something that I'm a lot like my mom. I get told that so often. They're like, "Oh, your mom does that." And I'm just like, "Yes, she's probably someone I admire and I look up to so much." Um, and my first song that I ever learned was from my mom because she used to have the entire soundtrack to Practical Magic, which was some movie that our parents were probably into at the time. I remember I watched like 30 minutes of it and I was like, don't like
This
this.
is old.
It's it's up there.
I've never heard oh, I'm gonna look it up 'cause I've never heard of it, but keep going.
Okay. And she has the like disc, but when we would go on long drives, like for whatever, when we were younger, she used to put this CD in, and we would skip to this song, and it's "This Kiss" by Faith Hill. And yes, I'm now probably going to be getting into my song recommendations because this is a great time to do that.
Mhm.
But this song was the first song I memorized like every single lyric to that wasn't like the ABCs or like Itsy Bitsy Spider. Like this was like my
Yeah.
first real produced song.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, I am not an avid country music listener, but this song is up there. And it's definitely influenced my life so much just because I every time I hear it, I think of my mom and just like how much fun I had because we'd roll the windows down and she would turn it all the way up and we'd be shouting in the car and I was just like, "Oh my god, like this is so fun."
That's
Um
awesome. That
yeah.
remind that there's a song I have that is similar to that story, but that's an awesome memory, an awesome song to have for that.
And my next one is Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks. My mom loves Stevie Nicks and definitely like this is like when I think of my mom, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna think of like putting Stevie Nicks like on with This Kiss by Faith Hill. um and um I actually love this song. This song is great. It's a classic. Like it's just timeless. It's so great. I highly recommend listening to it.
Yeah, it's an absolute classic. Like I didn't know the name of it, but as soon as it started playing, I was like, "Oh, like that's this song."
Right. Like it's played. Like you've heard it at some point.
You've definitely heard it at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom is a very big Elvis Presley fan.
Mhm.
And I mean, we have some Elvis Presley merchandise in our household that like no one is allowed to touch. You like you cannot touch it unless you are my mom. And so I'm going to recommend Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley. It is a classic wedding song. It is a classic song. So I just think it's perfect to recommend, but also it is by Elvis Presley and that is a tribute to my mother.
What kind of stuff does she have? Is it like those like
It,
you know those like cheesy plates that people used to have that would have like
oh,
people's face on them?
yeah, no. I
Okay.
do not believe we have play. We have like original records and
Oh.
like lunch. We have like the old tin metal lunch boxes
Oh, like a
that
lunchbox and thermos type thing?
yes. And then we have like some like not they're not bobbleheads, but they're like statues. And
Mm, mhm.
my brother actually like one year for Mother's Day, drew Elvis Presley for her. And it looks great. It's like fantastic. I'm like, wow, that's a great gift. Wish I thought of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so funny that she has like an Elvis like crush, like Elvis obsession.
Oh yeah, that's her like go-to, yeah.
Yeah,
She
that's
actually met
awesome.
him one time before he passed away, which I think was like super cool that she has that story.
That's
And I'm
really
just like,
cool.
my
I mean,
mom
I'd
is
hope she met him before, like afterwards would be a little.
well, yes. But like he died rather young, so
Mhm. That's really cool. I the song too, "Can't Help Falling in Love." It's a gorgeous song. I really, really like the cover of it. In Crazy Rich Asians.
oh my gosh, I love that movie.
Such a pretty movie. But my mom and I have watched that movie like at least 4 or 5 times, or like at least like parts of it, because it's always on like TNT or TBS.
Uh-huh.
And so whenever it's on, we pretty much just put it on the TV and watch it because it's like it's funny and it's really pretty and it's like it's a really good movie. But yeah, I love that cover of the song in that movie in that wedding scene. It's very
Oh
very
gosh,
pretty.
I was just about to bring up the wedding and how like it made me cry. It's so pretty. Just ah. I watched
No,
it with my mom too. I've seen it I think 3 times.
I
Um,
teared up a little bit during the wedding scene. Like it's gorgeous.
the entire film is amazing.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, like it's such a great song, and I do love. There are so many covers of it or like remixes, and I think it's just so cool how we can take classic music and kind of make it modern and still have that like connection between like both generations. I just really like that stuff. So
We can have a whole talk about sampling music and like remixing stuff. We'll do a music podcast
we
one.
need to do a music podcast. I need to talk about music. Like ah.
The sampling is like amazing. Like it's so cool. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But
Okay.
you had one more, I think.
I have one more. It is really special to me. It's called They Long to Be, which we have had a debate whether where the parentheses go, but it's They Long to Be Close to You by the Carpenters. And this song is probably something that I will be like singing until I'm like 78 because it's so like this is a song that I remember my mom singing to me when I was very little, and she sometimes still does it like randomly, but when we used to like go downstairs to have breakfast, like this was the song she would sing in the morning to us, and I just think it was like it's probably my favorite part. Like when I think about eating food, I'm just like, oh, it's breakfast time. This is the song.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it just makes you feel special. And she would change it because I have like this sprinkle like stardust in your eyes of blue, and she would change it to brown to like match my eye color. And I was just like, it's so cute.
Very creative. Good job, Milan's mom. That's
Yes.
very nice of her. Um, this isn't one of my recommendations because I don't know if it's even like a real. It's a real song, I guess. But yeah, my mom used to always sing to me, "You Are My Sunshine."
Oh yes.
Um,
Oh
like I some of my earliest memories probably like when I was like if I was like a little kid crying, she would always sing that song to me to like calm me down and just like hold me and sing that song, and it was very very cute. Um, yeah, it's a very pretty song, and she would always sing that to me, and I
yeah. I actually have one comment on that. The Care Bears use that like section in one of their like movies or something, and I remember I went through a big Care Bear phase. Um, and I had one of those singing toothbrushes and it had that song on it and it was like my favorite thing. Like I didn't even use the toothbrush. I just would play the song while I brushed my teeth with a different toothbrush.
those toothbrushes were the coolest. I always wanted one of those.
Oh, I had one with like Zac Efron on it, or like Vanessa Hudgens too. Oh, I was like I have
Wow.
the tunes. It's like tunes brushing tunes toothbrush
Yeah.
something.
Tunes brush, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. But I yeah, my first song, I guess I'll do four also. I added one while you were talking actually. Because you talked about Edge of 17, I think was the one you said you just roll down the windows. Or no,
Yeah.
the Kiss. You would roll both of those, you would roll down the windows and
Both.
sing it to
Both.
your mom.
There's
Yeah.
all good songs.
Yeah. For me, my mom, it's Build Me Up Buttercup.
Okay.
Um,
That is a good one.
it's a great song. I need to look up who it's by because I added it while I was it's by the Foundations.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, like it's on it's on some commercial on TV. And me and my mom watch a lot of TV. We watch a ton of Food Network and HGTV.
Oh,
Um,
I think I was just about to say, like, I think it is, a Sherwin-Williams, like, paint that it's, like, used to advertise. I'm sorry, I just know so
no,
many.
that's great. That's perfect. That's what I needed. I needed to know where it's from. Anytime it comes on the commercial, my mom and I always start singing it and like dance. We like do. We're on the couch. We do a little shimmy and we'll like sing and dance to it. And when it plays in the car, that's a song that we always sing. It's a great song. But yeah, it's very fun. That's our singing song. My next song is a song that like I was surprised that she knew and loved. It's "Sweet Home Alabama" by Leonard Skynyrd. Um,
Okay.
the first time I played this in the car randomly one time, and she would start singing along. I was like, "You know this song?" And she's like, "Yeah, like in high school, we used to listen to Leonard Skynyrd all the time. Like that was like her band in high school." Um, and so I just find I don't know, whenever I hear Leonard Skynyrd or especially hear "Sweet Home Alabama," I always think of my mom. Because she always tells me anytime it comes on now, she tells me that they used to listen to Leonard Skinner all the time in high school, and that was their like drive around song to listen to and play. And it's a good song. It's a good song too. Great for
Yeah.
summertime. But yeah, my next song, hilarious song. It's called "What Is Love" by Hadaway. Um, the song is originally, I don't know if it's a, I mean, it's a real song, but like I first saw it in an SNL skit, like Saturday Night Live, where Will Ferrell and I think Jimmy Fallon, they start bobbing their heads like to the side. For listeners, I'm like bobbing my head, but they're like in a club and they're all just bobbing their head to the song. And then it also appeared in Night at the Roxbury, which is a movie with Will Ferrell. It is a movie I think based off of the SNL skit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, it's, like the skit
That's
was
pretty cool.
hilarious, but it's just such a funny, like, nightclub song, and I was obsessed with it during my treatment,
Mhm.
like, we talked about how during treatment we would get in, like, loops of, like, get obsessed with one thing. I talked about the video by Jehovah. Shout out to Jehovah too for retweeting that. Like, I love you, Hova. You're the best. Thanks for replying too. Thanks, Sidon, for replying too. But yeah, it's like so that was one of the songs I was obsessed with, and so both my mom and I, we like bought it as a ringtone, and we made it our ringtones on our phone. Um, and like,
That's really cool. I forgot we used to do that, like,
mhm,
having ringtones because now everything, like, I'm have do not disturb, don't talk to me, no sound.
yeah. Well, even back then, like I would never call people. I would just it was all text for me.
Mhm.
That was back in the days of iPhone 4S, I think, or iPhone 4. And so it was like we would call each other just to hear the song play.
Aw.
So that was a very funny song, and like I'll always remember. She reminded me of that today, actually, the ringtone part. But I've always loved that song. I always crack up when I hear it. You should definitely look up the skit, the SNL skit too.
Yes,
Anyone
I'm
listening
doing
to
that,
watch.
and I'm looking up the flower thing after.
And then my last song, um, it doesn't have anything to do with Mother's Day. It's just a good song. It's a pretty song, I guess, and so I'll do it. But it's called "Wishing Girl" by Lola Marsh. It's a very pretty song. There's like I love the whistling. I can't whistle, but I can definitely appreciate a good whistle.
Yeah.
The song has some good whistling in it. And it's a pretty song that I really like.
This is a pretty song, and the cover art is so pretty. Like, I am such a sucker for good cover art, and I say
Mhm.
this every time, but this is so beautiful. Like, just the color and the tones that they did in it, amazing. And it speaking of the HGTV commercials, I'm pretty sure that the song is used in a Monopoly like scratcher commercial.
I was about to say, yeah, it's another. I find a lot of songs from commercials. So
They
yeah,
have good ones.
Build Me Up Buttercup I knew already, but like hearing it in the commercial is when my mom and I sing it. But yeah,
Yeah.
this song I heard in you're right. You're 100% right. It was a Monopoly scratcher commercial because I couldn't remember where it was from, but I knew it was a commercial. I heard the whistling. I was like, this is awesome. Like this song sounds very cool. So I like Shazammed the 3 seconds of whistling at the end of the commercial.
And it picked
Um,
it up.
it picked it up. Yeah, it was kind
Whoa.
of crazy. I'm very happy it did because I love the song now. But yeah, I have many more songs from commercials actually. Like Apple Apple commercials have great songs in them. I have probably 4 or 5 on my playlist from Apple commercials. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah.
I mm, don't get most of my music from commercials. I just know where the songs. I That's the thing. I watch commercials and I already know the song, and I'm like, oh, that's this
Mm.
song. Because one time they used a Shawn Mendes song in a commercial, and I was like, that's a Shawn Mendes.
I know that.
Yeah, that's familiar.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my last song.
All right. Well, I think this was a great tribute to our moms. And now we will formally, not in the sped up version, say thank you to our moms for supporting us and being there and always just being so great.
Love you. Love to all the moms out there.
Yes. All right. The Wish Kids wish you well.
Thank you to our moms for moderating and our dads for approving nods and occasional thumbs up.
We would also like to thank all of our wonderful nurses and doctors that we have had along the way and remind you that they are healthcare professionals, not us.
Please keep in mind, any medical information or stories shared and discussed in this podcast are based on personal experiences and are not meant to serve as medical advice. Please talk with your doctor about any medical concerns, questions, and guidance, as they are trained medical professionals.
Any brands, corporations, trademarks, or characters in the show, even those based on real people, are purely fictional.
The Wish Kids wish you well.